Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda. I will now read the names on the January Shotsuki list. I will read first the name of the deceased and then the family member. Kotake Kondo, Ruth Voorhees. Mitsuko Kuwada, Kanji Kuwada. Tsutematsu Iwata, Francis A. Burton. Tsunekichi Higuchi family. Jiro Niizawa, Norman Kiyono. Chosaburo Yamashita, Emiko Yamashita. Bill Koga, Florence Koga. Matsuno Fujimoto, Amano family. Chiyono Tomiyama family. Hisaichi Taniguchi, Wilbur Takashima. Mitsuyoshi Shindo, Ochi family. Teiichiro Miyoshi family. Usaburo Ito, Masako Nagata. Shokichi Kodama, Masako Ueji. Nobuo Hagio family. Harue Okumura, Yamashita family. Shigeko Takeguchi family. Satoru Hata, Hamada family. Masakichi Saito, Takashi Saito. Hashio Yonekura family. Toshiko Funaki family. Sojiro Torimaru, Otsuka family. Kiyotaka Kusumoto, Yoshiko Kusumoto. Shinhichi Kawamoto family. Hisayo Ogawa, Stephen Yagade. Hachiro Honda family. Moto Kobayashi, Wayne Takuya. Mitsutaro Shimizu, Miyoko Hashiguchi. Mitsuyo Urata family. Kuni Kawamoto, Kiku Koga. Sae Tsurudome, Mitsuo Tsurudome. Seki Kawasaki, Ohara family. Kyo Muraoka, Yoko Shinohara. Ryu Yonekura family. Harry Pokio Matsumoto family. Claude Holt, John Holt. John Konishi, Stephen Konishi. Nobuo Honda, Amy Honda. Ikuyo Takeshita, Akira Takeshita. Oshie Shimizu, Miyoko Hashiguchi. Shizuko Shimizu family. Shigeru Tabata, Takako Tabata. Setsuko Uchida, Kashima family. Noboru Nakada, Ted Nakada. Elaine Matsumoto Barrett, Matsumoto family. Masako Nadahara, Mami Nakagawa. Fred T. Torio, Juliana M. Torio. Chieno Okuma Moribe, Lee Moribe. Tetsuyo Kashima, Jeannie Kashima. Frank Akira Kajita, Tim Kajita. Kesao Muraoka, Yoshiko Muraoka. Kyoko Santo Higashi, Kiku Graber. Haruko Iguchi family. George Furuya Jr. Yukiko Woodsky family. Miwako Kosaka, Emi Kileri. Kazumi Yamada, Carol Yamada. Robbie John Nishiguchi family. Seiji Saito, Ayako Saito. Takenori Ohara, Fumiko Ohara. Sumiko Kendall, Benny P. Kendall. Mitsuko Kodama, J. Kodama. Yoshiko N. Kusumoto, Chio Nakagawa. Sumiko Tsubakihara, Kent Tsubakihara, Harry Yamada, Yamada family, Kimie Fukamizu, Rochelle Carroll, Pro Takanori Nimura, Saburo Nimura, Isen Iguchi, Iguchi family, Yoshinobu Sueyoshi, Annie, Yumiko, Christina, Osao Himaka, Lin Fujigami, Dorothy Alroy, Evelyn Alroy, Mitsuru Amano, Mike Amano, Dorothy Matsumoto, Matsumoto family, Gary Yukio Kodama, Vivienne Jones, Leonard Joseph Allison, Elizabeth Dawn Homa, Mitsuyo Mitzi Ota, Kenneth Ota, Michiko Kazi, Robert Kazi, Toru Shiraishi, Shiraishi family, Masami Iwataki, Patricia Iwataki, Maria del Refugio Gonzalez, Covarrubias family, Priscilla Ishizaki, Cheryl Ishizaki, Teruko Iwata, Francis A. Burton, Jeffrey Akira Oto, Junko Oto, Karen Kawasaki, Kawasaki family. And the temple and Sangha offer our sincere condolences to the family and friends of Mary Amemiya, who died on December 16th, 2021. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda. Please join me in Gassho and in recitation of the three treasures. How rare and wondrous it is to have been born into human life, and now I live it. How rare and wondrous it is to be able to listen to the Buddha Dharma, and now I am able to hear it. If I do not transcend the world of delusion in this life, when will I ever attain spiritual liberation? May I, along with the entire Sangha, with sincere heart and mind, rely on that which can be truly relied on in life, the three treasures. I rely on the Buddha. May I, along with all sentient beings, awaken to the great path with my entire being and discover the highest aspiration, which is to become a Buddha. I rely on the Dharma. May I, along with all sentient beings, deeply reflect on the meaning of the sutras and gain wisdom that is as deep and vast as the ocean. I rely on the Sangha. May I, along with all other sentient beings, become one Sangha of life and able to move forward and live with a dynamic spirit that is hindered by nothing. The unsurpassed, deep, and wondrous Dharma, even in millions of kalpas, is extremely difficult to encounter, but now I am able to experience and embrace it. May I come to understand and revere the true meaning of the Tathagata. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda. Hello, everyone. And my apologies for the delay of this Dharma message. Today is January 9th. About a year ago, on March 1st, 2021, Bishop Marvin Harada's Dharma message title was Patience During the Pandemic. He started his message with the following statement, quote, "By now, I think most of us are getting tired of this pandemic." When Bishop Harada published his message last March, it had been a year since COVID shut down schools, workplaces, and travel. Grocery store shelves were empty because everyone was buying toilet paper, paper towels, and Clorox wipes. Like myself, I'm guessing many of you were also buying boxes of mac and cheese for the children, canned goods, and of course, the extra supply of rice and Spam. It's now 10 months since Bishop Harada's message, and perhaps even more so, his opening statement holds true. that statement, by now, I think most of us are getting tired of this pandemic. And so the title of my Dharma talk today is just that, Patience During the Pandemic, version 1.3. When Harada Sensei delivered his message, vaccines were only available to frontline workers and those of us over 65 or with compromised immune systems. We were uncertain at that time when the vaccine would be available to the larger population, including our children. Most of us wore masks when we went out, but were more likely to stay home and have our groceries delivered to us. Amazon was thriving. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Schools were closed, and children, teachers, and parents were struggling to figure out how students could be taught in a virtual or hybrid environment. Recently, Bishop's statement resonated with me during a Zoom call I had with 6 of my oldest and dearest friends. We've known each other since we were between the ages of 2 and 7. Most of us talk to each other pretty regularly, one-on-one by phone, but the last time we all got together was on Zoom about a year ago. One friend lives in Orlando, Florida. 3 of us live in California, and 3 are located in Hawaii. My sister, who lives in Spain, was unable to join us on that call. We each took turns around the Zoom room, sharing our updates. And the first of my friends to speak, her name was Joy. She's the oldest of the group. She shared some joyous news of the recent birth of her 6th grandchild, and I'm going to try to pronounce her granddaughter's name. Kalehuluaka Lahina Ella Kana Akiona Agpao. And I think that the baby's name is probably longer than she is in length. But Joy shared news about her other grandchildren, and she also shared news of the challenges of the pandemic on her family. Our second speaker was Kathy Jikun, and Kathy is a Rinzai Zen practicer. She holds regular sesshin sessions in Los Angeles, and sesshin are intensive zazen meditation sessions. Jikun is usually the most calm and optimistic of all of us, I think. However, on this particular day, which was last Sunday, she appeared to be exhausted. She appeared to be anxious and a bit despondent. She spoke about how she felt the world was imploding around her. And as we went around the room, my friends shared concerns for the well-being of frontline workers. They shared concerns about the impact on people's lives by the tornadoes, the floods, and the wildfires that destroyed homes and livelihoods. They shared their sadness about the plight of the homeless, and so on and on. The sadness and ennui became increasingly evident to me as we continued around the Zoom room. And as I listened to my friends, I wondered, how could we help each other ease our sufferings? How are you feeling? How are your family and friends feeling right now? Has this new round of Omicron affected your sense of well-being? Are you feeling afraid? Are you feeling despair, exhaustion, or sadness? In other words, are you suffering? And as I pondered these questions for myself and my immediate circle of family and friends, I returned to Bishop Harada's message. His message reminded me of the Buddhist teachings, of the Six Paramitas, which he said can have a lot of meaning for us right now, or at least a year ago during this difficult time. And in particular, he emphasized the paramita of Kshanti, which means patience or endurance. He said, quote, "Our patience is pushed to the limit. Our capacity to endure is being pushed to the limit." But he continued, and I quote, in the case of the paramitas, the result of our practice is the unfolding of wisdom in our life. And further, he reminds us that, quote, "wisdom is what liberates us from this world of suffering, the world of samsara," end quote. And I was also reminded of Gomonshu Kojun Otani's recent New Year's message, in which he wrote, quote, we are basically incapable of accepting the reality of this world, such as dependent origination, impermanence, and no self. And because of this, we constantly suffer. Only through being aware of and appreciating Amida Buddha's compassionate and salvific working are we enabled to accept our true self. Shinran Shonin clarified that such ignorance is the very reason why Amida Buddha's salvific working has reached every one of us, keeping in mind that we are always embraced in Amida's compassionate light. Let us live each day to the fullest, even though we have yet to see the end of the tunnel, end quote. And finally, I remembered the Toolbox, which our Dharma School students created last year. And these were little boxes that contain strips of paper with word or words, and they're meant to be used as tools to help our children cope and thrive. Many of these words are grounded in the Dharma and include Eightfold Path and Six Paramitas. Here's some examples of what I have written on those strips of paper in my toolbox. One says, say thank you. Another, take 3 long breaths and breathe. Get a good night's sleep. Be patient, which is the paramita Kshanti. Be generous and helpful, which is the paramita Dana. Be kind. And finally, but not the last of my sayings, is give a hug, get a hug. Is it possible to see a gift in this pandemic and be grateful? You know, I can't answer that question for you, but what I can offer is simply what Bishop Harada's message offered to me. And that was a reminder to look to the teachings, to turn to the Dharma, to recite the 3 treasures, to help ease our own sufferings, to take refuge in the Buddha being my teachers, to seek out messages offered by Shakyamuni Buddha and Shinran Shonin, as well as many other teachers. And I'm grateful to have teachers like Bishop Harada and so many others. Take refuge in the Dharma, the teachings. This is my reminder to recite the 3 treasures, to study the Eightfold Path and the 6 Paramitas. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful I have access to the teachings in books and even better on the internet. Take refuge in the Sangha, the community. As Shin Buddhists, this means all followers on the Nembutsu path. And for myself, I include all of my connections, not just those on the Nembutsu path with me, but I extend those connections, the community, with my family, to include my family, my friends. And even though I don't personally have a pet, it includes Herc, my granddaughter's dog, Cece, my sister's dog, and Momo, my nephew's miniature bulldog, who allow me to cuddle with them and who give me comfort. Being together with my friends on Zoom, even in the midst of their despair, made me realize just how precious each of their lives are, and how fortunate and grateful I am to have encountered them in my life, because they've influenced who I am today. The fact that we've stayed connected and supportive of each other for over 65 years speaks to the strength of our friendship and the support that we provide and get from each other. Yes, we've supported each other through the loss of our parents, the births of our children and grandchildren, and for some of us, maybe even our great-grandchildren, through marriages, divorces, really through so many happy times as well as sad times. When I study Shinran Shonin's life and teachings, I am reminded that he too lived through widespread suffering caused by disease and caused by famine. When I recite the 3 treasures, I'm reminded that life itself is a gift, that encountering the Dharma is a gift. These teachings help sustain me through this pandemic. They help me focus on gratitude. These truly are the gifts of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Please join me again in Gassho as we recite the three treasures. How rare and wondrous it is to have been born into human life, and now I live it. How rare and wondrous it is to be able to listen to the Buddha Dharma, and now I am able to hear it. If I do not transcend the world of delusion in this life, when will I ever attain spiritual liberation? May I, along with the entire Sangha, with sincere heart and mind, rely on that which can be truly relied on in life, the three treasures. I rely on the Buddha. May I, along with all sentient beings, awaken to the great path with my entire being and discover the highest aspiration, which is to become a Buddha. I rely on the Dharma. May I, along with all sentient beings, deeply reflect on the meaning of the sutras and gain wisdom that is as deep and vast as the ocean. I rely on the Sangha. May I, along with all other sentient beings, become one Sangha of life, able to move forward and live with a dynamic spirit that is hindered by nothing. The unsurpassed, deep, and wondrous Dharma, even in millions of kalpas, is extremely difficult to encounter, but now I'm able to experience and embrace it. May I come to understand and revere the true meaning of the Tathagata. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.